Good morning YouTube, happy new year to you all. First video back from the new year. I hope you have all sufficiently recovered from your new year plans and you haven't been too caught down with this illness that's going around. I fortunately have got away with it because of all the multivitamins I take. But today I wanted to talk about a topic that's been of massive popularity recently on YouTube. A lot of people are doing body fat percentage, body fat scans, and you might have noticed recently, for those of you that have been watching the channel for a while, that this video has recently exploded in popularity. And one of the things on the video is that people are questioning what body fat percentage I am. So I'm going to do a couple of things today. I'm going to explore why people are questioning it and why I evaluated that that was the body fat percentage, and then overall just discuss what people's expectations are versus reality of what body fat should be and why that's misconstrued in the eyes of a lot of people when they're just looking at someone from appearance. So let's do this. Hi there, if it's your first time to the channel, welcome. My name's Adam Arif from Beyond Educated. If you're looking to improve your overall health, become more productive and improve your well-being, why not subscribe to the channel, follow me on social media to avoid missing out on any of the videos that I post weekly. Okay, so firstly, for those of you wondering who this crazy guy is talking about videos of body fat percentages and what they're talking about, check the video in the link to see what the discussion is actually about before you kind of choose to sit down in this video. There will be some information in this video that's useful anyway, but a lot of it relates to the initial one. So I wanted to address the issue around a lot of comments such as this and this and this, saying that your 10% body fat looks like 15%, or your 15% looks like 20, or people saying I'm like 25% body fat. So long story short was, I did a cut last year and did a photo shoot and got my body fat down to what I said was around 9.2, 9.8%, whatever it was. So first thing to say is, body fat percentage is very difficult. A lot of comments from people that have put that you're such a body fat, or you look at someone and suggest that someone is a body fat, is a completely unobjective way of looking at things. And what I mean by that is, you can't look at someone and say, particularly just from the upper torso, and say that you are a certain percentage body fat, because I'll explain a little bit later about perceptions of body fat. But the main thing is really that in addressing body fat, there's different ways to measure it. So that's the first point I wanted to cover. So looking at different ways to measure body fat, there's, for example, a DEXA scan, a GorillaPod, Calipers, and other ways to do it. And I think the thing here is a lot of these are quite common now. There's a lot of videos going around YouTube talking about these different types of body fat percentages and how to do it. I measured my body fat using calipers. I used the same person, although it wasn't a sports qualified practitioner, but it was my wife, and we used the same measurements and the same measurements. I used these fat calipers and I used the same measurements each time to do it. So what I did was, I did a 3 skin fold body fat measure, and that was one on the a vertical measurement taken about 1 inch right of the navel, so here. Then you take one across the pectoral, like a diagonal line down, and then you take one right here on the leg, so halfway between your hip joint and your kneecap. And so, although perhaps I may not have been that percentage, I may have been that percentage body fat, what I did notice and what was clear from the calipers was the amount of body fat within those areas was significantly reduced. Now obviously it wouldn't be feasible for someone like me to go each week or every few months and have a DEXA scan and a bod pod, but although they can be accurate and it's probably good to do at the start and the end, this is a more practical method, and a method that I recommend to clients, I recommend to people trying to get the body fat down to use. If for nothing else in terms of accuracy, saying to people, yeah, I'm under 10% or I'm 12% body fat, it's a measure and a progress and improvement of how much body fat is actually within these areas of your body. Now I will link in the description below the actual website that I use to measure those body fat percentages, and you can use that website or you can do manual calculations to calculate your body fat. Now the next point that I wanted to discuss, which is the last kind of part of the video, 3 different measures here, so I'll talk about these, and it's about perception. So you're observing someone, me in this case, in this picture, from my upper torso, and making an observation about whether my abs are quite prominent and whether actually I'm at a certain percentage body fat, and this applies to everyone, not just me. But there's a number of factors that play a role in this, and the first thing I want to talk about is genetics. I understand that you can work and condition your abs to bring them out more, but you've got to understand that looking at someone and looking at their genetics and saying, oh, perhaps they're like this percentage body fat or this percentage body fat, isn't accurate, because they may not have the muscle insertions that make their six-pack more prominent even at a certain percentage body fat. The second thing around genetics is, if you look at my body overall, what you'll find is I have a high percentage body fat always when I take my measurements around my abdomen. I have a reasonable amount of body fat around my pectoral, but when you actually measure and look at the stats for my legs, and these are the recent ones that I did that got me at 16% body fat, you can hardly even pinch and grab any of the leg. I mean, my legs are extremely quad dominant at the top, and so you can't even really pinch the fat. So looking and observing and saying, yeah, you look like this, isn't possible, because you've got to remember it's body fat. So it's visceral body fat, it's abdominal body fat, but it also includes your legs. So some people are predisposed to carry body fat around their abdomen, their back, some are on their legs, some are on their arms, some are on the face, and you've got to take all that into account rather than looking at someone and saying, bang, he's got a six-pack, therefore he's 8% body fat. So that's the first thing, and the second thing, saying where is it stored, and the third thing is when you're doing these measurements, a lot of it accounts for water retention. If I did my measurements on a day where my body fat appeared lower, it may have been because I was carb depleted, and therefore carbohydrates store water in your body and your cells, and if you've got less water, you look and you have a more shredded appearance, and therefore depending on the day that you actually take the measurements, if you're doing body fat calipers, it can also impact on your readings, and that's why it's really important to take 3 readings as I've done, or at least 2, and get the average reading of all of them, and then do that over time and measure progression. So I hope you found this useful. As always, it's really interesting to get people's comments, people's feedback. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about body fat. Let me know what your body fat percentage is. And as ever, remember, stay educated.